The council chamber floated in the dark space between stars. Its walls were made of transparent crystal that showed the spinning neutron star outside. Inside the massive room, representatives from 100 different alien species sat in their assigned seats. Some breathed oxygen like humans did. Others needed different gases or no air at all. The chamber used special technology to keep everyone alive and comfortable. Commander Zekthar stood at the edge of the crowd. His gray skin had many scars from old battles. His forearms rested at his sides. 2 of his 6 eyes watched the council leaders while the other 4 scanned the room. He had seen many wars in his long life. He had conquered 12 worlds for the Krillian Empire, but today he felt nervous. High Chancellor Vorn sat on the highest platform in the center of the room. The Chancellor's body glowed with soft blue light. When he spoke, his voice filled every corner of the chamber without being loud. "We gathered today to discuss a new discovery," the Chancellor said. "Our scout ships have found a planet called Earth. It sits in a quiet corner of this galaxy. The planet has liquid water, breathable air for many species, and rich minerals. Most important, it has intelligent life." The room filled with excited chatter. A new planet with resources always meant opportunity. Some species in the council needed new homes. Others wanted to mine valuable materials. A few just enjoyed conquering new worlds. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth spinning slowly. The planet looked beautiful with its blue oceans and white clouds. Green and brown land masses covered about 30% of the surface. "Our scans show the dominant species calls themselves humans," Vorn continued. "They have not developed faster than light travel yet. Their weapons use primitive chemical explosives. Their civilization is divided into nearly 200 separate nations that often fight each other. They do not have shields or energy weapons. By our standards, they are very weak." Ambassador Threk of the Thaxian Empire stood up. His species looked like giant insects with sharp claws and armored shells. He spoke in a clicking voice that the translation devices turned into words everyone could understand. "The Thaxian Empire requests permission to colonize this Earth," Threk announced. "Our homeworlds are becoming crowded. This primitive planet would be perfect for our expansion. We estimate we could conquer it in less than 1 of their years." Several other ambassadors nodded in agreement. The Vexen representative hissed with approval. The Morgath delegate raised 3 tentacles in support. It seemed the council would approve the invasion easily. Zekthar knew he had to speak now. He stepped forward from his place at the edge of the room. His footsteps echoed on the crystal floor. Every eye in the chamber turned to look at him. "High Chancellor," Zekthar said with respect, "I request permission to address the council on this matter." Vorn looked surprised. Zekthar rarely spoke at council meetings. The commander preferred action to words. But Vorn had known Zekthar for many years. He trusted the old warrior's judgment. "You may speak, Commander," Vorn said. Zekthar walked to the center of the chamber. He looked around at all the different species watching him. He saw greed in many eyes. They saw Earth as easy prey. They thought conquering primitive humans would be simple. They were all wrong. "I come before you today to give a warning," Zekthar began. His voice was quiet but firm. "I believe that invading Earth would be the greatest mistake in galactic history." The chamber exploded with noise. Ambassadors shouted in disbelief. Some laughed at what they thought was a joke. Ambassador Threk clicked his mandibles in anger. "This is ridiculous," Threk shouted. "They cannot even leave their own star system. How could such primitives threaten the mighty empires of this council?" Zekthar waited for the noise to die down. He had expected this reaction. The Chancellor raised one glowing hand and the room became silent again. "These are serious words, Commander," Vorn said. "You have fought in more battles than anyone in this chamber. You have never shown fear before. Why do you fear these humans?" "I do not fear them, Chancellor," Zekthar replied. "I respect them." "There is a difference. I have encountered humans before. 20 cycles ago, my fleet met one of their ships at the edge of our territory. What I learned from that encounter has haunted me ever since." The room became very quiet. Even the skeptics wanted to hear this story. Zekthar had fought against the fiercest warriors in the galaxy. If something had impressed him, it must be worth hearing about. "Please continue, Commander," Vorn said. "Tell us what happened." Zekthar activated his own data pad. A new hologram appeared next to the image of Earth. It showed a damaged human ship. The vessel looked old and primitive compared to Krillian warships. Its hull was scarred and patched in many places. This was the human colony ship called Perseverance, Zekthar explained. It had drifted into Krillian space by accident. Their navigation system had failed. The ship carried 3,000 humans, men, women, and children. They were looking for a new world to settle. Ambassador Threk clicked impatiently. He wanted Zekthar to get to the point. I commanded 5 Krillian warships at that time, Zekthar continued. Each of my ships was twice the size of their colony ship. We had better shields, faster engines, and stronger weapons. By every measure, we had total superiority. I contacted their captain and ordered them to surrender. I told them we would take their ship and sell them as slaves. This was standard procedure for our empire at that time. The commander paused. His expression showed old pain and something that might have been admiration. The human captain refused, Zekthar said simply. Her name was Sarah Chen. She told me that her people would rather die free than live as slaves. Then she attacked us. Several council members gasped. The idea of one primitive ship attacking 5 advanced warships seemed like madness. What happened next will stay with me forever, Zekthar said. His voice became softer, almost sad. Those humans fought like nothing I had ever seen before. They had no chance of winning. They knew it, but they fought anyway. They used tactics we had never encountered. When their weapons ran out of ammunition, they rammed their ship into one of mine. When we boarded their vessel, they fought us in every corridor with whatever they could find. Pipes, tools, even their bare hands. The hologram changed to show casualty reports. The numbers were shocking. We eventually captured their ship, Zekthar said. But 70% of my warriors were dead or wounded. One of my 5 ships was completely destroyed. Another was so damaged we had to abandon it. And remember, these were not human soldiers. These were farmers, engineers, teachers, simple colonists protecting their families. The council chamber was completely silent now. No one laughed anymore. No one thought Zekthar was joking. I met Captain Chen before she died from her wounds. Zekthar continued. She looked at me with no fear in her eyes. She smiled. Then she said something I will never forget. She said we were the peaceful ones. Wait until you meet our soldiers. Zekthar looked around the chamber at all the assembled species. He saw that his words were finally making them think. I have brought evidence from multiple encounters between humans and other species, Zekthar said. I request permission to present this evidence to the council. Before anyone votes to invade Earth, they should know exactly what kind of species they would be fighting. High Chancellor Vorn looked troubled. He glanced at the image of Earth still spinning peacefully in the hologram. That beautiful blue planet suddenly seemed more dangerous than before. The council grants your request, Commander, Vorn said slowly. Please present your evidence. We will hear everything you have to say before we make any decisions about Earth. Zekthar bowed respectfully. He activated his data systems to prepare the next presentation. Around the chamber, ambassadors whispered to each other nervously. Some still believed humans were no threat, but others were starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, Zekthar was right. Perhaps invading Earth would not be as easy as they thought. Perhaps it would be a terrible mistake. The commander looked one more time at the hologram of Earth. Somewhere on that planet, billions of humans lived their lives. They had no idea that aliens were watching them. They did not know their fate was being decided in this distant chamber. But Zekthar knew something that the rest of the council was only beginning to understand. Those humans down there were dangerous, not because of their technology or their weapons. They were dangerous because of something much more fundamental. They were dangerous because they simply refused to give up. Ever. 20 cycles ago, the border between Krillian space and unknown territory was a quiet place. Few ships traveled through this region. The stars were far apart here. There was nothing valuable to fight over. Most species avoided the area completely. Commander Zekthar commanded a patrol fleet of 5 warships. The duty was boring. His crew spent their days scanning empty space and checking navigation beacons. They had not seen another vessel in 3 months. Zekthar spent his time training his warriors and maintaining his ships. He expected nothing interesting would happen. He was wrong. On the morning of the encounter, Zekthar was reviewing weapons inventory when his sensor officer reported something unusual. Commander, we are detecting a vessel entering Krillian territory. It does not match any known ship design in our database. Zekthar felt a spark of interest. An unknown ship might mean salvage or prisoners to sell. At the very least, it would break the monotony. Show me, he ordered. The main view screen displayed the strange vessel. It was large, perhaps 200 meters long. The design was unusual, with rotating sections that created artificial gravity. The hull looked old and patched. Multiple antenna arrays stuck out at odd angles. The ship moved slowly, its engines barely producing any thrust. It appears to be a colony ship, the sensor officer reported. I am detecting approximately 3,000 life forms aboard. They are carbon-based oxygen breathers. The ship is damaged. Their main navigation system has failed. Zekthar studied the vessel carefully. The ship had no heavy weapons that he could see. Its shields were weak, if it even had shields at all. The engine design was primitive. This was clearly a civilian vessel from some backward civilization. Open a communication channel, Zekthar ordered. Let us see who these lost travelers are. A moment later, a human face appeared on the screen. Zekthar had never seen this species before. The creature had smooth skin, 2 eyes instead of 6, and hair growing from the top of its head. It wore a uniform that looked clean despite obvious repairs. The human spoke in its own language. The translation computer needed a few seconds to analyze the words. Then a mechanical voice translated, "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the colony ship Perseverance. We mean no harm. Our navigation systems have failed. We are trying to find our way back to known space. Can you help us?" Zekthar felt amused. These primitives were asking for help. They had no idea they were talking to a predator. He decided to give them one chance to surrender peacefully. "I am Commander Zekthar of the Krillian Empire," he replied. "You have entered our territory without permission. This is a violation of our laws. You will surrender your ship immediately. Your people will be taken as prisoners. Comply and you will not be harmed. Resist and you will be destroyed." He expected fear. He expected begging. Most species did that when they realized they had no chance. But Captain Chen just looked at him calmly. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was not a happy smile. "I appreciate your honesty, Commander," she said. "Now let me be honest with you. We are carrying 3,000 civilians, families, children, old people. We left Earth to find a new home because our planet was becoming too crowded. We have been traveling for 2 years. These people have sacrificed everything for a chance at a better life." She leaned closer to the camera. Her eyes showed no fear at all. "So here is my response to your demand, Commander. We will not surrender. We will not become slaves. We would rather die free than live in chains. If you want this ship, you will have to take it from us." Zekthar was surprised. He had expected instant surrender. This human captain was either very brave or very stupid. He decided to give her one more warning. "Captain Chen, be reasonable. You have 1 damaged colony ship. I have 5 warships. Your weapons are no match for our shields. You cannot win this fight." "You are probably right," Chen agreed. "But we are going to fight anyway. That is what humans do. We fight when we have no chance. We fight when logic says to surrender. We fight because some things are more important than survival." The communication ended. The human ship began moving. To Zekthar's amazement, it was moving toward his fleet, not away. "They are attacking," his sensor officer shouted in disbelief. "All ships, battle positions," Zekthar ordered. "Target their engines. Try not to destroy the ship completely. We still want prisoners if possible." What happened next changed Zekthar's understanding of warfare forever. The human ship opened fire with primitive missile weapons. The missiles were slow by Krillian standards. Zekthar's ships easily shot them down. But there were so many of them. The humans fired everything they had. Missiles, bullets, even mining explosives that they had rigged as weapons. None of it hurt the Krillian shields, but it created chaos. Explosions filled the space between the ships. Debris flew everywhere. The Krillian targeting systems had trouble locking onto the human vessel through all the noise and interference. Then the humans did something Zekthar had never seen before. They vented their atmosphere into space. All the air from their damaged sections exploded outward. The blast created an enormous cloud of frozen gas and debris. It was like a smokescreen in space. The human ship disappeared into the cloud. Zekthar's sensors lost track of it for precious seconds. Where did they go? Zekthar demanded. "I cannot get a clear reading through all this debris, Commander." "Wait, I have something. They are moving at high speed. They are coming straight at us." The human ship burst out of the cloud at maximum velocity. They had used all their remaining fuel in one desperate acceleration. Their plan was insane. They were going to ram a Krillian warship. Evasive maneuvers, Zekthar shouted. His ships tried to move. But the humans had timed their attack perfectly. One Krillian vessel was caught in a bad position. The human ship slammed into it at incredible speed. The collision was devastating. The Krillian ship's shields collapsed under the impact. Both vessels tumbled through space in a tangle of twisted metal. Secondary explosions rippled through both ships. The Krillian warship was completely destroyed. The human colony ship was badly damaged but still intact. Zekathar stared at the viewscreen in shock. These primitives had just destroyed one of his ships, with a colony vessel, by ramming it. "Commander, they are broadcasting on all frequencies," his communication officer reported. "Put it through," Zekathar ordered. Captain Chen's face appeared again. Behind her, Zekathar could see emergency lights flashing. Smoke filled the bridge, but the captain looked calm. "Commander Zekathar," she said, "you still have 4 ships. We still have this one. My people are preparing to repel boarders. Every adult on this ship is armed now. We have turned our ship into a fortress. You can still take us. But I promise you this. By the time you do, most of your warriors will be dead. Is it worth it?" Zekathar felt something he rarely felt. Respect for an enemy. This human captain knew she was going to lose. She knew her people were going to die. But she was still defiant. She was still fighting to make the cost as high as possible. Part of him wanted to withdraw, to let these brave people go. But he was a Krillian commander. Pride demanded he finish what he started. He could not let one primitive ship destroy his vessel and escape. "Prepare boarding parties," he ordered his crew. "All warriors to arms. We take that ship now." His remaining ships surrounded the damaged human vessel. They disabled its remaining engines with precise weapons fire. Boarding tubes extended from the Krillian ships and attached to the human hull. Cutting lasers burned through the metal. Doors were forced open. 200 Krillian warriors entered the human ship. They were the best fighters in the Empire. They wore powered armor and carried plasma weapons. They expected to crush any resistance quickly. What they found inside was a nightmare. The humans had prepared well. They had sealed bulkheads to create choke points. They had rigged traps using explosives and industrial equipment. They had turned every corridor into a battlefield. And they fought like demons. The reports came back to Zekathar in a steady stream of horror. Krillian warriors were dying in every section. The humans refused to retreat. When they ran out of ammunition, they used knives. When the knives broke, they used metal pipes and tools. When they had nothing else, they used their hands and teeth. Zekathar had to send another 100 warriors. Then another 100. The fighting went on for hours. By the time his warriors finally secured the ship, he had lost most of his forces. 140 Krillian warriors were dead. Another 100 were too wounded to fight. The cost had been terrible. And for what? The humans had fought until they could not fight anymore. There were few survivors. Most of the 3,000 civilians were dead. The ship was so damaged it would never fly again. Zekathar went aboard the captured vessel himself. He needed to see. He needed to understand what kind of species could fight like this. He found Captain Chen on her bridge. She was badly wounded. His medical officer said she had maybe an hour left to live. But she was still conscious. Still alert, she looked at Zekathar with those fearless human eyes. "You won," she said quietly. "Congratulations, Commander." Zekathar knelt beside her. "Why?" he asked. "Why did you fight so hard? You could have surrendered. Many of your people would still be alive." Chen smiled. It was a sad smile. "Because we are human," she said. "Because we would rather die on our feet than live on our knees." The council chamber remained silent after Zekathar finished his story. The hologram of Captain Chen's damaged ship still floated in the center of the room. Every ambassador could see the casualty numbers. One colony ship had cost the Krillians 140 dead warriors and 2 destroyed vessels. Ambassador Threk was the first to speak. His clicking voice sounded less confident than before. "This is one incident," Threk said. "Perhaps these particular humans were unusually desperate. It does not prove that all humans would fight this way." Zekathar nodded. He had expected this objection. "You are correct that one example proves nothing," Zekathar agreed. "That is why I have compiled data from multiple encounters between humans and other species. Over the past 20 cycles, several civilizations have made contact with humanity. I have gathered their reports. What they reveal is disturbing." The commander activated a new hologram. It showed a timeline with dozens of marked incidents. "Let me present the first case study, the Vexen incursion, which occurred 15 cycles ago." The Vexen ambassador, a serpent-like creature, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He knew what was coming. The Vexen are known for their raiding parties, Zekthar explained. They attack weak targets, steal resources, and disappear. 15 cycles ago, they found a human mining outpost on a remote asteroid. The outpost had 27 workers. No military presence, no heavy weapons. The Vexens attacked with 3 raiding ships and 50 warriors. The hologram showed the attack. The Vexen ships surrounded the small mining facility. The raid should have been quick and simple. The humans fought back using mining equipment as weapons, Zekthar continued. 17 humans died defending the outpost. 10 survived and escaped in a small cargo ship. Most species would have accepted this outcome and moved on, but humans do not think that way. The timeline advanced, showing what happened next. The surviving humans reported the attack to their authorities. Within 1 week, a human military fleet arrived in the sector. They tracked the Vexen raiders across 3 star systems. When they found them, they destroyed all 3 raiding ships. Then they found the Vexen base where the stolen goods had been taken. They destroyed that too. The Vexen lost 50 warriors in the original raid, and another 200 in the retaliation. The Vexen ambassador hissed angrily but said nothing. The story was true and everyone knew it. This demonstrates an important characteristic of humans, Zekthar said. They do not forget. They do not forgive. Attack their people, and they will hunt you down no matter how long it takes or how far they have to go. For humans, revenge is not emotional. It is policy. High Chancellor Vorn leaned forward with interest. Continue, Commander. What else have you learned about human nature? Zekthar brought up another display. This one showed biological data. The second case study involves what I call the persistence phenomenon. Humans have unusual physical capabilities that make them exceptional hunters and warriors. The hologram showed a human body next to bodies from other species. Humans are not the strongest species. The Krillians are stronger. Humans are not the fastest over short distances. The Vexen are faster, but humans have one ability that is almost unique in the galaxy. They can keep going. They can run for hours without stopping. They can fight for days with minimal rest. They heal quickly from wounds. They can survive injuries that would kill most other species. A video appeared showing a human marathon. Thousands of humans were running together. The run lasted over 4 hours. They just kept running. On their homeworld, humans were persistence hunters, Zekthar explained. They would chase prey animals for hours, sometimes days, until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. The human would still be running. This same capability translates to warfare. Human soldiers can march for weeks carrying heavy equipment. They can fight battle after battle with minimal breaks. They simply do not quit. Several council members looked disturbed by this information. An enemy that never got tired was a frightening concept. Zekthar moved to his next point. The hologram changed again, this time showing images of humans with various animals. The third case study is perhaps the strangest. Humans have an unusual behavior we call pack bonding. They form emotional connections with almost anything, including creatures that should be their enemies. The images showed humans with various earth animals. Dogs, cats, horses, and even more dangerous creatures. Humans domesticated wolves, one of their planet's apex predators. They turned them into companions called dogs. These dogs are now loyal to humans unto death. Humans have befriended species that once hunted them. They keep dangerous animals as pets. This ability to form bonds extends beyond Earth animals. A new image appeared. It showed a human wearing a spacesuit, petting a creature that looked like an armored lizard with multiple eyes. This is a Draxian rock beast, Zekthar explained. On its homeworld, it is considered a dangerous predator. This particular beast was found injured by a human exploration team. Instead of avoiding it or killing it, the humans treated its injuries. Now it follows them everywhere and protects their camp. The humans named it Rocky. Nervous laughter rippled through the chamber. The idea of befriending a predator seemed absurd. You may laugh, Zekthar said seriously, but consider the implications. Humans can turn enemies into allies. They can make friends with species that should hate them. They can inspire loyalty in creatures from entirely different worlds. This makes them uniquely dangerous in diplomatic and military situations. The laughter stopped. The ambassadors began to understand why this mattered. The fourth case study involves human adaptability and pattern recognition. Zekthar continued. The Mordak Collective encountered humans 5 cycles ago. They had a brief conflict over a disputed system. A new hologram showed a series of space battles. In the first engagement, the Mordak won decisively. Their weapons were superior. Their tactics were proven. They destroyed 3 human ships with minimal losses. They expected the humans to retreat and abandon their claim. The timeline advanced to show the second battle. But the humans came back. In the second battle, they performed better. They had studied Mordak tactics and developed counters. The battle was much closer. In the third engagement, the humans won. They had learned from every defeat. They adapted their strategies. They modified their weapons. They turned defeat into education. Zekthar paused to let this information sink in. Humans see patterns faster than any species we have encountered. They learn from mistakes quickly. Every time you fight them, they get better. Every time you defeat them, they study what you did and develop counters. You might win the first battle, but they will win the war. Ambassador Threk stood up again. He seemed frustrated. These examples show that humans are tough and adaptable, Threk admitted. But they are still primitives. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Surely that matters. Zekthar smiled grimly. That brings me to my final point. Let me show you something truly disturbing about humans. The hologram changed to show human entertainment. Sports stadiums, video games, movies. Humans enjoy competition and conflict, Zekthar explained. They turn combat into entertainment. They play war games for fun. They watch simulated battles. They compete against each other constantly. Sports games, contests of all kinds. They have turned conflict into a cultural obsession. The hologram showed human action movies, soldiers fighting aliens, warriors battling monsters, heroes defeating impossible odds. Look at their fiction, Zekthar said. They create stories about alien invasions, about wars with advanced civilizations, about desperate fights for survival, and in these stories humans almost always win. Not because they are stronger or have better technology. They win because they refuse to give up. He showed clips from various human media. Independence Day, Ender's Game, Starship Troopers, the Battle of Thermopylae, stories of humans standing against overwhelming odds. They fantasize about these scenarios, Zekthar said quietly. They dream about fighting superior aliens. They train for it. They prepare for it. They have been imagining alien invasions for centuries. They have thought about every possible way such a war could happen. The chamber was silent. The implications were starting to become clear. When we invade Earth, we will not be surprising them, Zekthar continued. We will be fulfilling their expectations. We will be playing out a scenario they have rehearsed 10,000 times in their stories and games. They have already imagined every strategy we might use. They have already planned their responses. High Chancellor Vorn spoke up. His voice was troubled. Commander, you mentioned that humanity is divided. Surely that is a weakness we can exploit. If they fight among themselves, they cannot unite against us. Zekthar had been waiting for this question. He brought up one final hologram. It showed Earth's history. Wars between nations. Conflicts between groups. Humans fighting humans. Yes, humans fight among themselves, Zekthar agreed. They have fought countless wars. They divide themselves by nation, religion, ideology, and tribe. They compete for resources and power. They are not naturally unified, he paused for effect. But history shows a pattern. When an outside threat appears, humans unite instantly. Every time an external enemy threatens them, their internal conflicts become irrelevant. The council chamber remained in heated debate for hours. Ambassadors argued back and forth about the wisdom of invading Earth. But High Chancellor Vorn could see that Zekthar's presentation had planted seeds of doubt. Even Ambassador Threk seemed less eager than before. Finally, Vorn raised his hand for silence. Commander Zekthar, you have given us much to consider. But I have one more question. You have shown us that humans are fierce fighters, that they never surrender, that they adapt quickly. But surely they must have limits. Are there no weaknesses we can exploit? Zekthar stood once more. His expression was grim. I wish I could tell you about a weakness, Chancellor. Instead, I must share something that disturbs me more than anything else I have learned about humans. I must tell you about their wars against themselves. A new hologram appeared. It showed a battlefield from Earth's history. Trenches stretched across muddy ground. Explosions filled the air. Thousands of soldiers fought and died. This is from a conflict humans call World War I, Zekthar explained. It happened about 100 Earth years ago. This was a war between human nations. Over 20 million humans died. The fighting lasted 4 years. The weapons used included poison gas, artillery that could level cities, and automatic guns that fired hundreds of bullets per minute. The images changed to show the devastation, cities reduced to rubble, soldiers suffering from gas attacks, bodies lying in no man's land. Several council members looked shocked. The scale of destruction was enormous, especially for a civilization fighting with primitive technology. 20 years later, they did it again, Zekthar continued. World War II, this conflict was even worse. Over 70 million humans died. The weapons became more terrible. Incendiary bombs that created firestorms, rockets, and at the end, he paused dramatically. At the end, humans created atomic weapons. Nuclear bombs, weapons that could destroy entire cities in a single explosion. They used 2 such weapons to end the war. Each bomb killed over 100,000 people instantly. The hologram showed the mushroom clouds over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The destruction was absolute. Everything within miles was simply erased. The council chamber was silent with horror. Some ambassadors had fought in wars, but nothing in their experience compared to this level of destruction. Let me be clear about what this means, Zekthar said. Humans developed weapons that could end their own civilization. They used these weapons against themselves, and this all happened before they even left their homeworld, before they had space travel, before they met any alien species. Ambassador Threk clicked his mandibles nervously. Surely after creating such terrible weapons they must have destroyed themselves. Threk said hopefully. Species with that much destructive power rarely survive. That is what should have happened, Zekthar agreed. But humans did something that no other species has done. After creating weapons that could end their world, after fighting wars that killed millions, after unleashing nuclear fire on their own cities, they created rules. The hologram changed to show documents, treaties, international agreements, legal texts. These are called the Geneva Conventions, Zekthar explained. They are international laws that govern how humans conduct warfare. They establish rules for treating prisoners, protecting civilians, limiting certain weapons, conducting battles in specific ways. He let this information sink in for a moment. Do you understand what this means? Zekthar asked the council. Humans fight so brutally, so completely, so terribly against each other that they had to create laws to limit themselves. They had to establish rules for warfare because without rules, their wars became too destructive even for them to tolerate. The Morgath ambassador raised a tentacle in confusion. I do not understand, Commander. How is this a strength? If they need rules to control their violence, that suggests they lack discipline. Zekthar shook his head. You missed the point. These rules apply only to wars between humans. The Geneva Conventions establish minimum standards of conduct that humans have agreed to follow when fighting each other. But these are restrictions they place on themselves. These are their limitations when they want to show mercy. He brought up images of banned weapons, chemical warfare, biological agents, certain types of ammunition. Humans have weapons they have agreed never to use on each other. Zekthar continued. Poison gas that melts lungs, biological weapons that spread disease, ammunition designed to cause maximum suffering. Nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons. They possess all of these things. They know how to make them. They could use them. But they choose not to when fighting other humans. He paused to let the implication become clear. But we are not humans. We are not protected by the Geneva Conventions. We are not part of their agreements. If we invade Earth, we will face humans without restrictions. We will face them using every weapon they possess, including the ones they have banned from use against each other. The horror on the council members' faces was clear. They were beginning to understand what it meant to fight a species that had already fought itself to near extinction. Let me show you something else about human culture, Zekthar said. He brought up new images, movies, books, video games. This is human entertainment. They're fiction. Notice the patterns. The hologram showed clips from various human media, action movies where heroes fought impossible odds, war games where players commanded armies, books about survival after nuclear war, shows about zombies and apocalypses. Humans create entertainment about the end of their world, Zekthar explained. They make games about surviving nuclear war. They write books about civilization collapse. They produce shows about fighting for survival. This is what they do for fun. More images appeared. Military video games, strategy games, simulations of historical battles. They have trained millions of their civilians in basic military tactics through games, Zekthar continued. Young humans spend hours learning how to coordinate attacks, manage resources, and defeat enemies. They do this for entertainment. But it also means that a large portion of their population has basic tactical training without even realizing it. High Chancellor Vorn looked troubled. Commander, are you suggesting that human civilians would be effective fighters? I am saying that the distinction between civilian and soldier is less clear with humans than with most species. Zekthar replied. Most civilizations have clear divisions between their warriors and their civilians. But human history shows that civilians can become soldiers very quickly when needed, and their culture constantly prepares them for this transformation. He showed images of human civilian ownership of weapons. In some human nations, private citizens owned millions of firearms. In several human nations, civilians are allowed to own weapons, Zekthar said. In one nation alone, there are over 300 million privately owned guns. That is almost one gun for every human citizen in that nation. Other nations have strict gun control, but all humans have access to weapons if needed. And they know how to use them. The implications were staggering. An entire planet where civilians were armed and had basic military knowledge from their entertainment. But surely their weapons are primitive, Ambassador Threk protested. Chemical explosives and metal projectiles cannot harm our shields. For now, Zekthar agreed. But remember what I said about human adaptability. Once they see our technology, they will study it. They will reverse engineer it. They will learn how to defeat it. This happened with the Mordak Collective. It will happen with us. He showed a final set of images. These were from more recent human history. Modern weapons, drones, cyber warfare, advanced tactics. Human military technology is advancing rapidly, Zekthar explained. In just the last century, they went from riding horses and using simple guns to splitting atoms and reaching their moon. They develop new weapons constantly. They innovate. They experiment. They improve. He looked around at all the assembled species. Every conflict they fight teaches them something new. Every weapon they encounter, they learn to counter. The first battle we fight will be our best chance to win. Every battle after that, they will be stronger and we will be weaker. Because they learn faster than we do. Zekthar brought up one final image. It showed nuclear launch facilities. Missile silos. Strategic weapons. I want to make sure the Council understands this point clearly, Zekthar said seriously. Humans currently possess thousands of nuclear weapons. These weapons are aimed at each other. They exist because of human conflicts with other humans. But if we invade, those weapons will be aimed at us. He let that sink in. Humans will use nuclear weapons on their own planet if it means stopping an invasion. They have shown they are willing to sacrifice their own cities to win. They will not hesitate to use every weapon in their arsenal against us, the Vexen ambassador hissed nervously. But Commander, you said they created rules to limit warfare. Surely these Geneva Conventions would restrict them from using such weapons? Zekthar smiled, but it was not a happy smile. The Geneva Conventions govern how humans fight each other. They are agreements between human nations. We are not party to these agreements. We have not signed their treaties. In human eyes, we would not be covered by their rules of warfare. He paused to let the full horror of this become clear. 3 days passed. The Galactic Council met again in the Crystal Chamber. The mood was very different from the first meeting. Where there had been excitement before, now there was caution. Where there had been greed, now there was concern. Zekthar's warnings had made many ambassadors think twice about invading Earth, but not all of them. High Chancellor Vorn called the meeting to order. We have deliberated on the question of Earth. Each empire has considered Commander Zekthar's evidence. Now we must vote. Should we authorize military action against the human homeworld? Ambassador Threk rose from his seat. Despite everything he had heard, the Thaxian Empire still wanted Earth. The Thaxian Empire has considered the commander's warnings, Threk announced. We acknowledge that humans are fierce. We understand they will fight hard. But we believe Commander Zekthar is being too cautious. Yes, humans have spirit. Yes, they have determination. But they do not have shields. They do not have plasma weapons. They do not have faster-than-light travel. Our technology is superior by centuries. He looked around the chamber. A quick, decisive strike will overwhelm them before they can unite. Threk continued. We will target their military bases first. Destroy their command centers. Eliminate their ability to coordinate a defense. With their leadership gone, their spirit will break. The Thaxian Empire votes in favor of invasion. Several other ambassadors murmured in agreement. The promise of a new world was too tempting to pass up. Despite the warnings, greed and pride won over caution. Zekthar stood up. His 6 eyes showed deep concern. High Chancellor, I must protest this decision. The Thaxians are making a terrible mistake. Everything I have shown you points to one conclusion. Invading Earth will cost far more than it gains. Your protest is noted, Commander, Vorn said carefully. But each empire must make its own decisions. If the Thaxians wish to proceed, that is their right. The vote was called. Many empires voted against the invasion, heeding Zekthar's warnings. But enough voted in favor. The Council gave its reluctant approval for a limited military action. The Thaxian Empire would be allowed to attack Earth. I formally register the Krillian Empire's opposition to this action, Zekthar announced. We will not participate, and I predict that 6 months from now the Thaxian Empire will regret this decision. Ambassador Threk clicked his mandibles in what might have been laughter. 6 months from now, Commander, the Thaxian flag will fly over the human capital. We will send you an invitation to the victory celebration. The council meeting ended. Ambassadors departed to their ships. Plans for invasion began immediately. Within days, the Thaxian Empire assembled its largest war fleet, 300 vessels carrying 50,000 warriors. It was a force large enough to conquer a dozen primitive worlds. Zekthar watched the fleet depart from his observation post. His hearts were heavy. He had tried to warn them. He had shown them the evidence. But pride had blinded them to the danger. Now they would learn the hard way. He just hoped the lesson would not destroy them completely. 6 months later, exactly as Zekthar had predicted, the Galactic Council met again. This time there was no debate. There was no vote. This was an emergency session. The Thaxian invasion of Earth had been a disaster. High Chancellor Vorn looked tired. The past months had aged him. He stood before the council with a holographic report floating beside him. The situation is grave, Vorn announced. The Thaxian fleet arrived at Earth 48 hours ago. They were detected immediately by human satellites and radar systems. Rather than surrendering as expected, the humans responded with a single message broadcast on all frequencies. He played the message. A human voice spoke in clear, defiant tones. This is Earth, you have come to the wrong planet. Turn back now, or learn why humanity survived when every other threat failed to destroy us. The message was simple, direct, unafraid. Ambassador Threk ignored the warning. Vorn continued. He ordered an immediate attack on human military installations. The fleet moved into position to begin bombardment. The hologram showed what happened next. It was not what anyone expected. Within minutes of the Thaxian arrival, something remarkable happened on Earth. Every nation stopped what it was doing. Centuries-old enemies became allies instantly. Competing powers coordinated their responses. Rival nations shared resources and intelligence. The United Nations transformed from a diplomatic forum into a military command center. Humanity united completely in less than an hour. They called it the United Defense Coalition, Vorn explained. Every human nation joined. Every military force coordinated. Every weapon was shared. They stopped being separate countries. They became a single species defending their home. The hologram showed the battle. It was brutal. The Thaxians expected primitive missiles and chemical explosives. They were prepared for conventional warfare. What they got was chaos. Humans launched everything at once. Nuclear missiles by the hundreds. Orbital weapons platforms. Satellite-based lasers that had been secretly developed for decades. Chemical weapons they had promised never to use. Biological agents they had kept hidden. Cyber attacks that overwhelmed Thaxian computers. Electromagnetic pulses that fried their electronics. But most devastating were the tactics. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not line up their forces for honorable combat. They used guerrilla tactics, kamikaze attacks, and strategies the Thaxians had never encountered. Civilian cargo ships loaded with explosives rammed Thaxian vessels. Communication satellites became kinetic weapons. Even small personal aircraft were weaponized and thrown at the invaders. Every human became a soldier. Civilians grabbed whatever weapons they could find and fought. Engineers turned factories into weapons production facilities overnight. Scientists worked around the clock to analyze captured Thaxian technology. Hackers targeted alien computer systems. Even children helped running supplies and sharing information. Within 48 hours, the Thaxian fleet was destroyed. Vorn said quietly, all 300 ships, 50,000 warriors gone. The humans captured some vessels intact. They took prisoners. and they are already reverse engineering Thaxian technology. The council chamber was silent with shock. An entire invasion fleet, destroyed in 2 days by a primitive civilization. It seemed impossible. But that is not the worst news. Vorn continued. His voice was heavy. The worst news is what the humans did next. A new hologram appeared. It showed human scientists working on captured Thaxian ships. The humans have faster-than-light technology now, Vorn said. They captured it from the Thaxian fleet. Their scientists have been studying it non-stop for the past 6 months. They are already building their own FTL drives. Within a year, maybe less, humans will be capable of interstellar travel. The implications crashed over the assembled ambassadors like a wave. They had tried to conquer Earth. Instead, they had given humanity the keys to the galaxy. There is more, Vorn said grimly. The humans have sent us a message. They want to talk. He played another recording. A different human spoke this time. The voice was calm, measured, but carried an undercurrent of steel. This is Admiral Sarah Martinez of the United Earth Defense Coalition. We are aware that your council authorized the attack on our world. We are aware that many of you voted against it. We appreciate those who showed wisdom. To those who voted for invasion, consider this a warning. Humanity is coming to the stars. We will be your neighbors very soon. How we relate to you depends entirely on how you receive us. We can be friends. We can be trading partners. We can cooperate and learn from each other. But if you ever threaten Earth again, you will learn what it means to face humanity united and angry. The Thaxians learned that lesson. We hope you do not need to learn it as well. The message ended. The council sat in stunned silence. Zekathar stood. He looked around at all the species who had not believed his warnings. I told you, he said quietly. I warned you this would happen. The Thaxians thought they could win through superior technology. They learned that technology alone is not enough. Humans have something more valuable. They have will. They have unity when threatened. They have the courage to use any weapon necessary to defend their home. He activated his own communication device. A response from Earth appeared on his screen. I received this message yesterday, Zekathar said. It is from Admiral Martinez. She requested a meeting with me specifically. She said that survivors from the Thaxian fleet told stories about a Krillian commander who warned against invading Earth. She wants to thank me, and she wants to discuss terms for peace between our peoples. He smiled. It was a genuine smile this time. The Krillian Empire will be the first to establish formal relations with Earth, Zekathar announced. We will trade with them. We will learn from them. And if necessary, we will stand with them against any who threaten them again. You would ally with these primitives, the Vexen ambassador hissed. They are not primitives anymore, Zekathar corrected. They have FTL technology now. They have energy weapons captured from the Thaxians. They have billions of warriors who just proved they can defeat an advanced military force. And most importantly, they have shown mercy. They could have killed all the Thaxian prisoners. Instead, they treated them according to their Geneva Conventions. They showed the same restraint with aliens that they show with each other.